G'day guys, welcome. I got my face feels a bit hot. I've been out in the sun at Latrobe watching the boys train. Got warm. It was overcast when I got there, a little bit misty. It's one of those days where it sort of gets about 10:30 and the sun came out and it started to get a little bit warm and the wind, and I'm feeling a little bit burnt, although I did have a hat, but I wasn't wearing it all the time. So I do apologise if I'm just sort of glowing a little bit, but glowing's not too bad, is it? Anyway, I'm back in Werribee. Nice drive out to the northern suburbs to finally watch our boys train, which I do appreciate. I do appreciate, and they trained for 3 hours. I got there at 8:30 and I left pretty much by the last, the people packing up the footies and putting them in the wheelie bins, and I was off. I was going to do the report there at the ground. Wasn't really anywhere suitable to do it. I was fucking hungry as well, and there was no food out there, and well, there might have been food, but I didn't see any. So I got in the car and I've had a bite to eat, and I'm sitting down now doing a report, what I'm going to do. And it gave me a little bit of thinking time as well, because I've just done so much videoing of the actual session itself, and I do apologise if the footage isn't great, because I only did it on my phone. It felt like it was, I don't know, just couldn't really get great vantage points. Not a huge crowd there, probably around about maybe 500 maybe, max. Good turnout, but I couldn't get a great vantage point, so I do apologise, but I've got a lot of footage, probably too much to put on the end of this report. And what it does, it gives me a bit of time to speak in a little bit more depth and detail about what I observed. So I'm going to divvy up that footage over the next couple of days. So I might have skills and drills and whatever on one video, and then on the other video, match sim. Yeah, I think I might do that. I'll just have a look at how much footage there actually is. But it could be one of those situations where I might just put it all onto one video, and you can pop it on your TV and you can just sit back on your couch and just sort of like drift off. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. I love going to watch elite athletes train, full-time athletes. This is their job. This is what they do for a living. And like any job, like any job, there are going to be times where you're just not feeling it, like it has to be. When you've got a large group of players, not everyone's going to be feeling it. You just can't. Things going on in your life. So I don't want to make judgments on players based on their training performance. At the end of the day, I think there are some players that love training, love it, fucking obsessed with it, and there's some that can take it or leave it and just want to play. But preparation is the key, and this is what these boys are doing. They are preparing, and the focus has changed in regards to what they want to get out of this preseason from a high performance perspective. The training in regards to the explosiveness and speed with the new high performance manager and Rob as somebody who wants to bring to the club, that's been sort of well known. Didn't necessarily see that in this session because this was mostly skill based, a little bit of running at the end, and that was more sort of endurance work they finished off with. But I got there, start to finish, thoroughly enjoyed it. Good energy, and they trained like there was no supporters there. They weren't trying to put on a show. They weren't showing off. They just were training. This is their work environment, and they were going about their business, which was good to see. And I must admit, the supporters which were there were really respectful of that. They weren't yelling out for autographs and carrying on. They were just watching, and it's sort of, when you train at a place like that, and you can just walk up. If the club do train there more often, I just can't see any reason why you couldn't go along and just observe and watch. I really can't, because it's yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to say any more on that. I'm going to, in this video, talk about players, obviously, talk about what they did. Obviously, the rehab group's always Really interesting modified group. Blokes coming back from long-term injuries, blokes coming back from post-season surgery, blokes who may have got a niggle or two on their return. So that's always something to probably start with, which I'll do. And then I'll move into the guys that look really good, and you don't want to get carried away too much by training, particularly in December. There's a long way to go before the start of the season. But yeah, I mean, this is an important block of training for any footballer to get that confidence going into the break and then returning after the new year. So I got a gauge of the rehab group once, the whole group, and there was a big contingent of players, and I mean a really big contingent of players, guys, which was really good to see. In fact, it looked like when they all came out, I go, fucking hell, how many players have we got on our list? But a lot of those were some train-on players, and I've done a little bit of research, and it was a bit of a subplot, actually. I bumped into Terry from Blue Abroad and then Paul Sebastiani a little bit later on from the Jumper Punch, and we had a great chat and a little bit of a laugh about trying to work out who the fuck some of these young players were. I haven't worked out all of them yet, but we did a bit of sort of detective work, and when I got home, I sort of looked up a few things. So hopefully I've got it right, and maybe if you were there, you could fill in the missing pieces to some of the guys that we just couldn't get a read on of who exactly were they. So they were, some younger players, and also the train-on players who are hopefully or trying to get picked up, over the course of the next couple of months. Denver, Granger Barras was there. Liam McMahon was there. Didn't see Ethan Phillips, the former Hawk, Port Melbourne, mature age player, who was delisted by Hawthorn. He's been training with us. I didn't actually see him there. So they're the three main ones that we will probably take. There's also a guy called Will White from our VFL program. He's put together a couple of really good seasons at VFL level. He's a smaller type player, left footer. He trained as well and trained quite solidly. And then there was some guys that were just like fucking mystery. I picked up straight away Tyson Gresham. Now he's the younger brother of Jay Gresham, who plays the former Saint Indigenous player, former Saint and now Essendon sort of hybrid forward going to the midfield, classy player. His younger brother, Tyson Gresham. Now, he's actually still eligible to play in the Coates Talent League. He doesn't turn 18 until, I think, mid next year. So he's still in the under 18s. Now, he's Northern Knights. Now, he must be Next Generation Academy. He must be. Because he trained, he's small and stocky, small forward type. Yeah, he's a fair bit to go with Tyson Gresham. So obviously NGA. It was another kid who really impressed. This is the one that really impressed. His name is Jack Ison. He's a 17-year-old Next Generation Academy as well. He represented Vic Metro in the under-16s in 2023, and he's played 7 games this year as a bottom major for the Oakley Chargers. Now, he's 189 centimetres, left footer, slight build, but classy, and knows how to find it, and 2, to get in the right spots. And he just seemed to be in everything. So Jack Ison is his name. He's not eligible to be drafted into 2025 in his Next Generation Academy. So that's probably one to look out for. There was another, I think he was an Indigenous boy, who looked quite classy as well. Didn't pick his name up. And the other boy was a big beanpole. I've got no idea whether he's come into our VFL program. He looked a little bit older, and I haven't seen. I know most of the ruckmen in the Coates Talent League, and I've never seen this guy in the Coates Talent League. He'd be 203, 4 centimetres. He was wearing the number 49 jumper, a left footer, and as skinny as a rake. Walked around with Matthew Cruiser for most of the session, and then joined in for a few of the drills, rucked against TDK. TDK ragged on him a couple of times, and he's obviously development, but I'm unsure who he are. So they're the train-on. So they were the extras. So I think I've covered all of those. But the one to look out for is Jack Ison. Anyway, rehab group. So they trained together for the first 45 minutes, including everyone in the rehab group. The only guys I didn't see Charlie Curnow at all. Now, someone told me, John O'Baruch, who works for Fox Footy, he told me he saw Charlie early on. I did not see him at all, but he was obviously there coming off an ankle reconstruction. Did not see Charlie. Spoke to Paul Sebastiani, SEN, knows his stuff. Thanks for the information, Paul, that Alex Cincotta, okay, don't know if this has been confirmed yet, has had hip surgery. So he wasn't there. Now, that to me, I don't want to be an alarmist, but that to me is not great. Hip surgery, yeah, not great. Hips are bad. Like, they're bad. Don't know how bad this one is, but to have surgery, yeah, not ideal, but it's a position of the ground that hopefully we can cover. And let's face it, he's sort of on the fringe, Alex Cincotta, but he would have been desperate to get going because he's sort of at that, been in the system now for 2 or 3 years. He's at that time where he's probably physically able to and got the tempo of the game. So he was probably looking forward to having a big year, but he's on the back foot now. So that's Alex Cincotta. The following players trained, and no Fantasia, other than a fleeting half a lap. I saw him run, and then he ran back, then he ran, and then he sort of stopped, and then he disappeared. So that was a Razio. These players trained for the first 45 minutes in the sort of crafty type work, the ground ball gets and the little bit of spoiling and jumping on bags and doing all that type of stuff. These, Matthew Cottrell, Corey Durden, Jack Silvagni, Mitch McGovern, Matt Duffy, they all did that. And then once it ramped up and they sort of split up and started to do the more contact work, the real contact work, those 6 or 7 players then went and did a modified training sort of program, whether it was running, a little bit of skill work away from the group. Now, a lot of you will probably want to know how Jack's tracking, Jack Silvagni. And I'm not going to mention McGovern. I don't want to mention him because you look at that, McGovern, who's one with a history of injuries. I got no idea. He was out there, did the start of the training, and then didn't really see him again. So I can't really comment. On that. But as far as Jack goes, he looks like he wants to just get out there now. I think he's probably sick and tired of being in that rehab program. Looks to be running really well. Looks really strong, really fit. Lots of energy. He was doing a lot of running with Matt Duffy. He's the Irish boy who did an ACL this time last year. They ran together and he was encouraging Matt Duffy, and it was really good to see. If you look at Jack and the way he's running and the way he was doing the other skill work, you'd think there's nothing wrong with him. So he's clearly on a program and a timeline. That timeline in regards to a return, I've got no idea. My feeling is early when they return after the new year, when they return on that second block, he'll join the main group. That's my feeling. But I've also got a feeling he's not going to be ready for the start of the year. I just can't see that they'll risk him and rush him for the start of the year. That's my feeling with Jack Silvagni. But all positive news with Jack in the way he's training. And Matt Cottrell, Durden, shoulders. Cottrell, not quite sure. Blake Acres, back concern, but he looked good in his running he was doing. So they were the guys. So pretty healthy list, guys. And the big one, which pleased me the most, and I'm not going to mention how well he trained, because training's training. And I don't want to say these guys flying now and everything's okay, but Adam Chera did the whole session. And this is a bloke who's had fucking hamstring injury after hamstring injury. So just fingers crossed that they're on top of that. And same with TDK, he's just looking so good physically. He did the whole lot as well. So there's sort of some of the guys who had the interruption at the end of last year. If you want to know any other players specifically that I may have missed, please in the comments below mention the player And I'll give a brief synopsis of the way I thought they trained or where they played in the match sim, because obviously I'm not going to be able to cover everyone. It's just impossible, particularly when there's so many and they're playing on different parts of the ground. I'm going to talk about, as far as I don't know if I've even mentioned this yet, but apologies if I mention it twice, but felt like the training session, it was their main skill-based training session, was really driven and run by the assistant coaches with Voss just observing. And then the players, once they finished a particular sort of section or drill or some match sim, they'd all then go over to the pavilion side together. And that's when I think maybe I couldn't see, because they blocked that area off, that maybe Michael Voss was addressing him there. But in regards to everything else, it was run by the assistant coaches. The two standouts, I'm going to pick two standouts, and I'm not going to mention the senior players because we know Walsh, we know Cripper, we know Newman, Harry, like he's up and about. We know that those guys have been in the system now, and their bodies are hard, and we know they're just animals. They're just in the groove. They're just in the groove. But the two standouts for me from a third to fourth year perspective, I might be wrong in regards to that, in regards to how long they've been in the system for. This is Lockie Cowan's third year, and is it Jesse Motlop's fourth year? Anyway, they are the two standouts for me. I like what I saw from Billy Wilson. I really did, and with some injury concerns now with Alex Cincotta, that sort of opens the door up a little bit, although I feel like they're really going to put a lot of work into Jordan Boyd and getting him to be that extractor out of our back half. I really do, with Ollie Hollands. But it is opening up a little bit for someone like a Billy Wilson, and he's starting to show some good signs, and he's looking bigger and stronger, and he's got some real speed and pace. The two standouts for me were Lockie Cowan. He's a thoroughbred. He's a fucking thoroughbred, this kid. And you know what? I'm not getting overly excited about him going, he's going to be a superstar. I don't think he's going to be a superstar. I just think he's going to be a bloody good player. A bloody really important player. Just a key cog in our back half for a long time. A long time. He's got the right temperament. He's got the right physique. He can play small. He can play a little bit taller. He's a penetrating kick. He loves to run. He's getting more confidence. He's aggressive. He's determined. He does all the right stuff. And he looks like a fucking footballer. And he is in ripping condition. And he's worked behind the ball, getting in the right spots, his direction. He looks to be a really good pickup. Lockie Cowan. Close watch on him going into the new year and into the early start of the season. But that's no big call because he was sort of starting to cement his spot in our team anyway. And the other one, I'm just gonna be careful with this one because he was like tracking beautifully this time last year as well. Came off a really strong end to 2023. And was flying. This time last year, everyone was talking, in particular me, was talking about Jesse Motlop. But I just noticed him all session. I just noticed him. He was everywhere. He was like, there, he was there. He was there. He's lively. He was energetic. He was kicking the ball, snapping goals. He was in and under. He was feeding it off. He was at the feet. Like he was just working hard. His body looks good. And he looks good. And we just need, we hope both of them come good, but we just really need one of either Jesse Motlop or Corey Durden to be a super small forward. And I think it is going to be Jesse Motlop. If you're going to put your money on, and once again, it's not a huge call because we know he's got some class and he's got some ability, but body stands up. There's a little fair bit of work there with Jesse Motlop. So I thought they were the two standouts. As far as the young guys go, the first year players, guys, which you want to hear about, and And I know I've got huge expectations on Jagger Smith, but I just hardly saw him. Like, I saw him at the start. I thought he might have gone off. They were looking after him, putting him in cotton wool. Maybe I just couldn't see him because he's on the other side of the ground. And when they did the match sim, one team had to put their jumpers inside out so you couldn't see the number 7 and all that type of stuff. But I just didn't notice him a lot. And every other report from journalists when they've watched Carlton train, they've just gone, Jagger Smith this, Jagger Smith that. Like, he's doing this and doing that. But I thought it was just, I just felt it was a little bit underwhelming, but not in a bad way because I just didn't really see him. I just didn't see him. Or like, I couldn't see him. But the others, to me, the other 4 stood out. Just quickly, Matt Carroll and Sam Durden, who were delisted last year from our football club. They were rookies. You know, Sam Durden, mature age, only played 2 games, key defender. And Matt Carroll, who was picked up as a rookie in last year's draft. They're both training. And Matt Carroll was actually okay. He's actually running really well. Did not play 1 game at all last year. Even in the VFL, he had a hip condition. So he's an interesting one. He's a really interesting one if he can get through this pre-season because they rated him. Anyway, but Lockie Cowan, Jesse Motlop, Cooper Lord was okay as well. Didn't really stand out to me though. But Harry O'Farrell, Ben and Lucas Camporelli, and Harry Charlson. I liked what I saw. I liked what I saw, and I'll tell you why I liked what I saw. Now, none of them did anything where I'm going, wow, you know, and you're not expected to do that at training. I don't want to be reporting that at training anyway. I don't, because that is just like, that's just getting too excited. But what I like about these 4 in particular, and you can throw Jagger Smith into this new breed as well, with Lockie Cowan, okay, and potentially fucking Jackson Biggs, but yeah, is the thing I noticed the most about being really close at training today, guys, apart from the fucking awful goddamn music which was being played from the DJ, which was just ridiculous, could hardly hear, is getting really close and listening to these players talk to each other, particularly the leaders and their instructions, and also at times the frustrations. And I'm not meaning like berating each other, but the real frustrations. Now, we got a really like big focus next year is defense, like inconsistent. And Nick Newman's mentioned this in a big interview he did last week on SEN, the inconsistency of our defense. And that's not just the back 6 and 7, but the whole team defense, forward, through the midfield, the way we set up defensively. And when you talk about defense, you often think, the inability to tackle, inability to spoil, inability to lay a tackle. This thing I noticed the most in this session was the frustration at times from our senior leaders at some of our players, and I'm not going to mention who they are, of either a lack of work rate to get to close space or to get in the right position defensively. And they're using this term handover, like handover defensively. I'm not going to go into that now. And also locate. You know, these are sort of new words that they throw about, but locate just basically means pick someone up. And handover is, you know, in the back half, like, I can't get to my man, can we hand over, you go to him. And so all that type of stuff. And then the zoning up. Nick Newman, Patrick Cripps, they were getting frustrated at certain individuals for, I think the inconsistency comes from not staying in the fucking moment. Like, I could see it, not staying in the moment, not concentrating, and keeping your head in the game. And these are long sessions these players go through. But we're inconsistent because we lose. And that comes down to a lot of things. Obviously, the individual, but also leadership and the way they hold each other accountable. And I really noticed that today, that they were really fucking driving that, guys. They were driving that. And every club will be doing this, but this is the first time I've really seen it at training where I saw the real frustration from our players. They didn't accept shit efforts. And this is training. Didn't accept, okay, you didn't bother to close that space down. You didn't set up right. They actually told them directly. And I could hear it. Now, the reason why I like Harry O'Farrell, the two Camporelli boys, and Harry Charlson, and I understand they're first-year players, and when you're a first-year player, you come in and you're super eager and you're super keen. You don't want to disappoint. You're trying to earn their respect and all that. I get a feeling these guys, they're not going to be superstars right away. And in fact, some of them might never make it, but they are like fucking solid citizens. They were doing everything right, as far as I could see. Now, Harry O'Farrell, he's a mile off physically. But he was doing some things, really smart things, and doing the team-orientated things that others, more senior players that we know in our back half don't necessarily do. And the Camporelli boys are just eager to please and eager to learn, and we're doing everything right. I love the combination and the interaction between Sam Doherty and I think it's going to take me a while to work out which is which in regards to where they play, but I think it is Lucas is the one who plays on the wing. He's the left footer, and I got a feeling that Doc will play on a wing this year. And he was teaching and training and mentoring Lucas in regards to, and they were rotating from that wing position. Great interaction between the two. And I really like what I saw from Harry Charlson as well, playing behind the ball. Just looks like solid citizens, guys. Solid citizens. Felt foot skills were down. We need good ball users. We need skillful players. We need players with X factor, but we also need players who can fucking stay in the game and are competitors and don't drift. Easy to drift. And I felt like the fucking focus in today's session was, you're not doing the right thing, man. Like, I'm going to tell you, don't take it personally, because it's not about you. Well, it is about you, but it's about the team. Okay, so you not doing that is actually affecting us. Okay, so that was the biggest takeaway from me from this training session. As promised, I'm going to divvy up that footage, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please in the comments below, if you like a bit of a synopsis on any of the players that trained today, feel free to put it down. I'll do everything I can with my red glowing face to write just a few comments. Okay. Speak soon. Take care.